Hey everybody, welcome back for another Capcom Fighting Edition of SHOREVIEWKEN. Today we're taking a look at X-Men vs. Street Fighter EX Edition for the PlayStation, which was released without the EX title outside of Japan. I've talked in the past about how inferior this version is to the Sega Saturn port, which is undeniably true. But I thought we might as well give this port a fair shake because while it's nowhere near as good as its Saturn counterpart, it's not as though it's completely unplayable. It doesn't have the benefit of using the RAM expansion of the Saturn, which severely limits its playability, but if you don't have a Saturn, this may be able to tide you over until you have another way to play it. We'll start with the negatives, and it is a laundry list of things. First off, this game does feature all 17 playable characters, but a key component of the gameplay is missing, and that's the tag feature, which is baffling to me. I don't know why you'd release a popular tag fighting game without the tag fighting. Instead, you still pick two characters, but you'll only be controlling one, while your partner can only be called in for assist attacks and for team super combos. This also means that the game reverts back to a standard 2-round system as opposed to the single round of the arcade and Saturn games. This is a big setback for the gameplay, obviously, especially if you've enjoyed one of the other versions. Also, this port plays considerably slower than the Saturn version, features load times that are roughly 2 to 3 times longer, and there are a lot of frames of animation missing from each character. So in short, Capcom had to take a hatchet to the gameplay to get this game to even run on the PlayStation, and the result is far less satisfying than if you play the Sega Saturn version. It makes me wonder why they even bothered. So there are glaringly obvious negatives to this game, but what are the positives? Well, despite not playing anywhere near as good as the Saturn, it is still a playable and, to me, enjoyable fighting game. It's still a 2D Capcom fighter, a low-tier one to be sure, but again, not at all unplayable. I'd still play this over some of the PS1's lesser fighting games at least, and if I didn't have a Saturn to play, I could be happy with this for a brief period. Even just recording the footage for this review, I had a pretty good time. Also, despite the diminished animations, this is still a very good-looking game. The characters and stages do still look nice. It's a very colorful and detailed game all around, and all of the characters and stages from the other versions are included. Plus, you still can't go wrong with a mid-90s Capcom fighter soundtrack, and X-Men vs. Street Fighter is no exception. The soundtrack is fantastic, and the presentation in this game definitely makes it a lot more tolerable for me. Of course, if you have a choice, play the Saturn version every day of the week. It's one of the best 2D fighters ever made, but if that's not an option for you and you don't mind all of its shortcomings, there's still some fun to be had with X-Men vs. Street Fighter EX Edition. Check it out.